Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today is Monday the 15th of November and we are starting a new vlog because I am reading a little bit more at the moment, so I wanted to separate my monthly vlog into two separate ones. So this is part 2 and this is going to be for the next couple of weeks until the end of November. I am currently reading Dune and I'm really enjoying it actually. I am page 192, so I've read about this bit. And I'm currently half listening to the audiobook during the day when I'm working and things, and half reading through because there are some names I want to know how they're spelled to understand what's going on. But I'm finding it really easy actually. I was expecting it to be such a hard book to read for some reason. I feel like everyone has been selling it as if it's gonna be such a super intense, hard sci-fi / fantasy type of book. And it's a YA, it's a young adult. It reads like a young adult. It's super simple sentences, very flowy, very easy to follow. I guess there's quite a few different names and new things going on, and it would probably benefit, I don't even know whether it has one at the end and I didn't even check, but I was gonna say it would benefit from an index. There is one, there's terminology at the end. Yeah, I would say like potentially at the beginning then it could have been useful to have some terminology explained at the very start and then we plunge into it, but we're immediately plunged into the thick of it and as if we were part of that world and were to already understand a bunch of its rules and things. So that's perhaps the only difficult aspect of it, but other than that, it's pretty easy to follow. I'm really enjoying the political intrigues in it. It's kind of reminding me of Game of Thrones, but the best part of it, like, I know everyone hated season 8, but season 8 just Sansa Stark's arc type of vibes. I don't know, it's reminding me of moments with Cersei and things like that, with all the different spying and traitors things and betrayals happening and all that, and like people trying to use poison to kill people, and I don't know. It's fun. I like it. I have no idea what the movie's gonna be like yet because I've not gone to see it yet, and basically I'm trying to read the first half of this book before I go because that's apparently what the first movie covers. And I'm gonna go see the movie with my brother when he comes back from holiday, so I have a little bit longer to finish it. So I should be fine because I'm actually really close to ending the first book in the book. It says here in the contents that you have book 1 and then book 2, and book 2 is called Muad'Dib, and then book 3, The Prophet, but I think it's meant to be more like in the middle of this. So I'm almost finished with book 1 basically. I'm also gonna pick up soon, I haven't started yet, but I'm gonna pick up Rules for Vanishing. I mean, I started as in I read 1 page, so that doesn't count, but yeah, this is my next one on my list for my TBR. And then I still have to read these two, which is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and Certain Dark Things, which is urban fantasy. So actually quite a bit of sci-fi this month, but yeah. So I have these 3 that are technically officially on my TBR list, and then obviously Dune that I am also using the audiobook for, so I'm probably gonna, whenever I'm reading, I'm gonna focus on the other books, and whenever I want to listen or I'm busy with work and things, then I can just have the audiobook at the same time. Hello, it is now Friday the 19th of November. I haven't really been good at giving any news this week because I've actually been really busy. I've been super busy with work and also with activities, like I've seen my friends and, you know, gone out after work and gone for drinks and dinners and stuff. So it's already Friday. But I have read quite a bit of Rules for Vanishing and I'm about 140 pages in and I'm really enjoying this so far. It's very strange because I didn't expect it to be like this from the synopsis. I feel like the synopsis made me think it was maybe gonna have more people disappearing and maybe like a non-supernatural explanation. Like I thought maybe it was gonna have to do with serial killer or like an actual murderer, a person that we know in the story or something that's a murderer or something like that, but it has nothing to do with that. It's truly a supernatural story and it's horror and I didn't know that it was going to be horror. I don't know why, because the summary is actually clear enough. It's just that because it's very similar to another book, So Kill Girls, I kind of keep mixing them up, I think, because the synopsis sound really similar, but I think So Kill Girls is more what I pictured, and this is more a YA horror novel. And in this story, our main character decides to go after her sister who disappeared a while ago, and is said to have been looking for this ghost girl, Lucy Gallows. But basically there's like a game involved. They're meant to find a road through the game, and then once they're on the road they're meant to go through certain gates, and each gate has like a test, I guess, something like that they need to pass in order to go to the next gate and everything. But while they're doing this, everything is super creepy, the whole environment is really scary and spooky, and the horror types of thing in there are genuinely scary. I'm really enjoying this because I've not read that many horror books recently, like in the last year, that I've generally thought were scary, except Into the Drowning Deep that I read last month. But apart from that, I haven't actually read many horror books that I thought were genuinely spooky. And I think this is doing it. It's very atmospheric, and the vibes in there are perfectly horror for me. I think I'm gonna try to finish it tonight, if not tomorrow. I do have plans on Saturday. I am actually gonna go with some friends for brunch, which may last quite a while, so most of the afternoon. So I don't know how much time I'm gonna have to read, but I'm gonna try and read this one before Sunday. To keep you updated on Dune as well, I can't remember what I said last time, so I don't know how much progress I've done since then, but I did finish the first book within the first book, because this book is composed of 3 books. The first one is Dune, the second one Muad'Dib, and the third one The Prophet, and I finished Dune within Dune. This is so complicated. I'm like, why are you calling them books? Just call them like sections or parts or whatever. So I finished part 1 basically, which is technically the first movie, although my friend told me there's a scene that comes towards the end of the movie that's actually later on in the book, and that's the only other passage that I should read up to. So I think I'm gonna try and reach that point, which you said should be around page 315 or something. And I'm currently page 262.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling.
Hello, I've now finished reading Rules for Vanishing by Kate Ellis Marshall, and I rated it 4 stars. So I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the characters. I am hating the reflection of the lights into my glasses, so I'm just gonna not see what I'm doing for a little while because I'm myopic. So here we go. I really enjoyed this and ended up rating it 4 stars. I think the characters were great, the story was really gripping, and the horror vibes were absolutely perfect. I also really enjoyed that it takes a lot of inspiration from Is, which is spelled Y-S, and it's a legend from Brittany in France, and that's where my family's from, so I actually really enjoyed reading about that when I already knew about Dahu and all the legend that comes with it. So if you're into that kind of legend stuff, you might be interested and intrigued by this book as well, because although it's not completely focused on that, it's more of a ghost story really. I want to say that it's a ghost story, it's a little bit more complex than this, but it does have a slight focus on this as well. And what I really loved, I think, about this book the most is that by the end you really understand that the characters that are doing the interviews, because we have an interview format and we have a Dr. Ashford doing the interviews with his intern or assistant or whatever, Abigail Ryder, I think her name is, they are somehow going to be in other books. You get that by the end because you do have a little bits here and there that you understand are not finished. And when I checked the next book, which I do own, which is I think Our Last Echoes or something like that, there are already passages where I just really quickly checked without trying to get any spoilers, but you could see passages that were interviews with Dr. Ashford, and I was like, yes, because this is so great. And I don't think they're a focus in this book whatsoever. Like, the focus is still our, you know, our main heroes, the teenagers that go and look for Lucy Gallows and go and look for Becca, Sarah's sister, as I explained. But I like the fact that it's basically building kind of like a universe, kind of like the Marvel universe, I want to say, you know, where you have other people that are going to come back in other stories, and I can tell that All Asticus is going to be something to do with ghosts as well, based on the synopsis, so I'm excited to read more with the same characters interviewing and all that. Hello again, so today is Tuesday the 23rd of November, and I just wanted to give a quick update. I have read about 70 pages or so of this. Yeah, I'm at page 72 of The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and at the moment I am both enjoying it and not enjoying it. So when I started, I was really excited by the opening, like the first few chapters, the first few passages that introduce all the characters, and the main character that we're following, Rosemary, that arrives on this Wayfarer ship and discovers all the members of the crew. I really love everyone. Like, everyone has a great personality, feels very real to me. One of the characters, Kizzy, makes me think a lot of Abby from NCIS. I don't know if you will know this reference, but if you do, perhaps you'll agree with me. I just feel like they have very similar personalities. And yeah, I'm loving all the characters so far. However, I have two caveats. The first one is that I'm currently in the middle of an extremely boring passage because Kizzy is actually explaining to Rosemary, our main character, some physics laws and rules and stuff about how they're tunneling, because that's what the crew does. They create tunnels through space, I guess, for other ships to travel through or something, and she's explaining this in extreme detail in what I am assuming is meant to be vulgarized science, but feels very like science to me. And I'm very bored. I think it's a way longer passage than it needs to be, and I don't actually think that this is all that relevant to the story, so I'm kind of like, why do you need to explain that much about this? But I am getting out of this passage right now, and I feel like afterwards it's gonna pick up again. And then the second caveat is, I know this is a bigger book than 70 pages, you know, so perhaps I need to give it a bit longer, but at the moment I don't know what the plot is. There doesn't seem to be much of a plot. It's very much so our main character is meeting this crew and, you know, getting introduced to life on board of the ship, and that's about it. I feel like at this point I usually like to know kind of what is the big mystery going to be, or what is their big quest going to be. I don't know, and at the moment it just seems like nothing. So I might just be a little bit impatient, so I will tell you again later once I've reached a little bit, you know, further into the book, whether it's clearer or whether it happens a bit too late for me, or yeah, I will let you guys know. But at the moment I am a little bit like, okay, so what's the plot gonna be? Because now that we've introduced everyone, I'd quite like to know what the plot is going to be. But what I'm enjoying is that this very much reminds me of kind of old school sci-fi TV shows. I don't know what it is about it. It's all of those different type of characters that will have very strong personalities and very big individualities about them, and I'm just enjoying that. I am also still making progress in Dune. I'm currently page 315. I have not yet reached the passage where I think I need to stop for the movie, which is, I think, the introduction of this character called Chani, because apparently I think there's an introduction to that character in the movie, but it only happens later in the book. I hope that's not a spoiler because I don't know much about this, but basically I'm still really enjoying it, and I think both the audiobook and the just physical format are great. I'm particularly enjoying swapping in between because sometimes it's just easier, but also I find that the audiobook is really easy to get into, and I'm still plunged in the story, and I don't have to go back every 2 seconds thinking that I've missed something. So I'm quite enjoying both, and I guess everything is kind of picking up now. There's a lot more action happening, and people getting killed and battles being fought and things like that, so it's a little bit more interesting as well. But I actually quite enjoyed the beginning and the slow pace of it, which is very rare for me. I normally hate slow books, so if you don't like slow books, this one might still be for you, because I liked it, and I don't like slow books normally, and I think it was just written in an interesting enough manner that it kept me intrigued the entire way. So today is Sunday 28th. There are people doing work upstairs. Today is Sunday 28th of November. I have not read much at all in the past week. I've been really busy with work, and whenever I finished work it was quite late, and I would often just want to watch things, because watching movies and TV shows is just easier for my brain than to read things. So I have not really made any progress on The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. The book that I did make progress on technically is Dune, because I'm at page... I actually can't remember last time I filmed, so I don't remember what I've said, but I'm currently at page 354, and there's technically only 600 pages to be read in this book. Afterwards it's appendixes, so I have this much left, so kind of like 250 pages or something. Anyway, I reached basically the last passage that is in the actual movie, so I was quite happy when I went to see the movie and realised, oh, I actually read until that exact moment, so that's perfect. However, I do think that it was a little bit of a mistake to read that close to going to see the movie, because as much as I enjoy the movie in certain aspects of it, I was a little bit bored by the end because I knew everything that was going to happen because I had literally just read it. So I was like, oh, and then next this happens, and then afterwards this happens, and then this happens. So it was a little bit boring. But I still did enjoy myself. I still thought it was beautifully, cinematically, it's gorgeous. It brings a lot more of a sci-fi vibe to the story than from the book, because the book is a lot more focused on, I guess, the political intrigue and things like that. In the movie they actually wanted to show like actual ships and things like that, so you do have a lot more of a sci-fi atmosphere, I want to say. And I guess the only thing that I truly didn't like from the movie was the way they wrote and the way they changed the character of Jessica, because to me in the book Jessica felt very much like a super calm, controlled, poised and elegant type of person. In the movie, first of all, the difference in age between her and Timothée Chalamet I think is way too small, so you can tell that she doesn't have a motherly vibe to her compared to Timothée Chalamet. Like, I think there's a much smaller difference in age between them because he's in his 20s instead of being 15, which he is in the book. So I guess maybe they casted her well. I don't know how old the actress is, but she doesn't look old enough to me, and they don't look like they have enough of a gap between them. And also, she cries like 3 times in the movie, while in the book she barely lets a tear out once for a good reason, and that's it. So I was a little bit... she didn't feel like the same character to me, and I guess it was maybe just because of what they wanted to show, because the book goes a lot more in details when it comes to people's thoughts. There's a lot more passages where you have actual people's thoughts, and you can't show that in a movie. So the way that they did it was externalizing some of her internal struggles. And so in the book there's moments where she's like scared and worried and she thinks about it, but she never shows it, and she's always presenting as a very calm and poised person. And in the movie they had to externalize that a lot more, so she felt a lot more panicky and said things like, oh, I must not fear, I must not let my fear take over, fear is the mind killer, whatever. Which in the book she thinks, but she doesn't actually like say these panicky thoughts. And there's a passage where Paul is the one who panics, and she tells him, we still need to get your training in check, blah blah blah, because you should not be panicking. Like, she's the one telling him off for this. She's the other way around in the movie, and like it really reminded me of the whole Harry Potter thing, where fans were super upset when in the movie they presented Albus Dumbledore as screaming at Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire, or whatever. And in the book he asked him very calmly that same question. Very different types of characters and very different ways of presenting it. So it felt like that to me, watching that character on screen. It felt like she was not well represented compared to the book. And I actually, reading the book, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is quite an old book. You know, it's sci-fi, and compared to some more recent fictions I've seen or read, I feel like it was pretty well written by a man. Like, the whole character of Jessica, I'm really appreciative of her character arc so far and what kind of personality she's got in presenting. So that's why I was disappointed in the movie. I mean, not only, but like that's the main and only thing that I was really not liking that much, because I loved the character so much in the book. But that's about it. Hello, so I think my mic was unplugged, and therefore I think I didn't manage to get any sound into what I have literally just filmed for the past 5 minutes. So let me repeat myself. Today is the last day of the month. It is the 30th of November. I have now just finished reading Dune, which is a break, so I'm pretty proud of myself. And I've enjoyed it quite greatly. I think I'm going to rate it 4 stars. It's not 5 stars for me, because for me it's subjective at the end of the day, ratings, and I think as much as I can tell how beautifully written this is, how amazing of a piece of work this is, really enjoyed myself, but it's not a 5 stars for me. It lacks perhaps certain elements that would have made it even more enjoyable for myself, but I did enjoy this journey. And I'd say after reading the second part of the book, which is not in the movie, I enjoyed some of the stuff in there even more than the first part of the book, especially since we're a lot more into Fremen country now, and there's a lot more discovering other cultures things, and I don't know, there's a lot of cool revelations and more political intrigue, even more so than before, so I enjoyed all that. I thought it was quite fun, and I'm pretty proud that I finished it this month. However, I have not finished reading The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I did read halfway through it, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the characters in it, but there's one thing that I don't really like, which is that the characters are all very non-violent. And I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, that I don't like that the main characters are all non-violent, but to me violence is kind of, you know, it's a gateway to action, and I love action in books and in movies and in TV shows. I love it when there is action happening and things go fast and everything. Basically at some point the characters get attacked by a pirate crew while they're on their ship, and afterwards the characters are like, we need to have guns, we need to have some way to defend ourselves, and the captain refuses because he's Exodan, and Exodans, which are basically the human race, I think, I might be misunderstanding exactly what that term represents, but I think it's pretty much a big part of the human race. They are very non-violent, they refuse to use violence, and that's apparently what's happened to humanity. They've become against war, against violence, against owning even just weapons, which first of all I find completely unrealistic. I don't believe that for one bit, and second, it's boring. It's just boring. We're in space, this is sci-fi. I was expecting a lot of battles and gun action, and it's just not gonna happen now. But I don't know that it won't actually happen, because the characters are all heading into a dangerous patch of space, and so maybe action will happen, but that realization has dampened my mood a little bit towards this book. I'm still enjoying it, I'm still enjoying the revelations and everything, the characters, the crew, and I think maybe that there will be action based on the job that they've accepted, but I might be wrong. And also I think it's quite slow, and I thought maybe it's because it's setting it up as a scene for the series, which is very possible. I haven't read the rest of the book, so I have no idea, but sometimes the first book is a little bit slower because it sets up the scene and gives you a lot of information about the characters and the world and everything that you need to know, and then the other books are a lot more action-packed. But I don't know that yet, just because of how there's this non-violent thing going on, and so I'm a little bit worried. But I will tell you guys how I feel about it by the end of the book. However, it's probably not going to be in this vlog, because today is the 30th and it is 8:45, and I just don't think I'm going to finish this book tonight. I'm a little bit tired, I want to do some writing, I want to do some other stuff, and also the other book I never got to this month is Certain Dark Things, so this will be into next month's vlog. I'm gonna push it by 1 month, so sorry I didn't get to this, but then again I did read Dune, so I feel pretty accomplished anyway. I hope you did enjoy this video, however, and if you did, please leave a like, consider leaving a comment, I always try to respond, and consider subscribing as well, ring that bell, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one.